There are days when your greatest enemy is not standing in front of you, it is inside your mind. It speaks with your voice, reminds you of everything that could go wrong, turns one uncertain moment into 100 imagined disasters, and convinces you that you are behind, that time is running out, and that everyone else is moving forward while you remain trapped in the same place. Nearly 2,000 years ago, a Roman philosopher named Seneca understood this battle. He knew political danger, endured exile, lived among powerful people whose favor could disappear overnight, accumulated wealth, faced criticism, advised Emperor Nero, and eventually received an order to end his own life. Seneca did not write from a world of perfect peace. He wrote from inside uncertainty. His philosophy was not about escaping difficulty, but about refusing to let difficulty own your mind. What follows is not a collection of magical promises, but a set of hard truths. 10 lessons from Seneca for anyone who feels anxious, distracted, angry, discouraged, or afraid of wasting their life. Seneca observed that human beings are often frightened more than they are injured. We do not wait for pain to arrive, we summon it early. We imagine rejection before receiving an answer, experience failure before making the attempt, rehearse the argument before the other person has spoken, and turn possibility into certainty, suffering as though our imagination were evidence. But fear is not always a warning. Sometimes, it is only a story told by an exhausted mind. Ask yourself, what is actually happening right now? Not tomorrow, not next month, and not in the worst future you can imagine, right now. Perhaps there is a real problem in front of you. Then face it. Prepare, speak, and act, but do not carry 10 imaginary problems beside it. Seneca's lesson is not that nothing bad will happen. Bad things will happen. His lesson is that you should not experience every possible tragedy before reality has chosen even one. Do not pay pain in advance. Meet life when it arrives. Because it is. Seneca believed that people are strangely careless with time. They guard their property, argue over money, and become furious when someone takes something that belongs to them, yet they allow hours, months, and years to be stolen without resistance. They give their mornings to distraction, their evenings to exhaustion, their attention to people they do not respect, and their best years to obligations they never consciously chose. Then one day, they look back and wonder where their life went. Life does not always disappear through one great tragedy. Sometimes, it disappears quietly. 5 minutes at a time, one postponement at a time, and one meaningless distraction after another. Your time is not merely something you spend, it is the substance from which your life is made. Every hour given away is an hour of yourself that will never return. This does not mean every moment must be productive. Rest is not waste. Joy is not waste. Silence is not waste. But unconscious living is. Decide what deserves your life, then protect it. Seneca warned against postponement. Many people are always preparing to live, telling themselves that life will begin when they have more money, when the anxiety disappears, when the right person arrives, when they become disciplined, or when the world finally gives them permission. But the perfect moment never comes. There will always be another uncertainty, another responsibility, and another reason to delay. You do not become ready and then begin. You begin, and through beginning, you become ready. Send the application. Make the call. Create the first imperfect version. Have the difficult conversation. Walk away from what is destroying your self-respect. Do not wait until fear disappears. Courage does not arrive before action. Courage is built by action. The future is uncertain, but this day is already in your hands. Do not sacrifice it while waiting for a life that can only be built in the present. Seneca believed that no one discovers their strength without being tested. You cannot know your courage while everything is comfortable, your discipline when motivation is always present, or your character when every decision is easy. Hardship reveals what comfort keeps hidden. This does not mean pain is automatically good, nor does it mean you should remain in abuse, seek suffering, or pretend that loss does not hurt. It means that when difficulty cannot be avoided, it can still be used. A setback can expose your weaknesses. A rejection can separate your identity from the approval of others. A season of loneliness can teach you whether you know how to stand beside yourself. An uncertain future can force you to develop an inner stability that easy circumstances never required. Do not ask only, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What is this showing me? What must I strengthen? What can no longer remain weak?" You may not have chosen the test, but you can choose who walks out of it. Seneca deliberately practiced periods of simple living. He recommended plain food, rough clothing, and fewer comforts, not because suffering was noble in itself, but because dependence creates fear. When you believe you need perfect conditions to function, every change becomes a threat. If you need praise, criticism controls you. If you need luxury, loss controls you. If you need constant entertainment, silence controls you. If you need motivation, difficult days control you. Voluntary discomfort teaches you a powerful truth. You can survive more than you think. Train when you would rather remain comfortable. Turn off the noise. Sit alone with your thoughts. Delay a desire instead of instantly obeying it. Choose simplicity occasionally. Finish something difficult without announcing it. Each time you do this, you remind your mind that discomfort is unpleasant, but it is not the end of you. The goal is not to make life miserable. The goal is to stop being terrified whenever life becomes inconvenient. Seneca warned that character is influenced by company. We absorb more from our environment than we realize. Spend enough time around bitterness, and bitterness begins to sound intelligent. Spend enough time around excuses, and discipline begins to look unreasonable. Spend enough time around people obsessed with status, and you may begin measuring your worth through their eyes. Not every crowd deserves access to your mind. Not every popular opinion deserves your agreement. Not every voice deserves to become your inner voice. Choose your influences deliberately. Spend time with people who make honesty easier, who challenge you without humiliating you, whose discipline exposes your excuses, and whose presence reminds you to become better, not merely to appear successful. When such people are not nearby, find them in books. A person can be surrounded and still be poorly accompanied, just as they can sit alone with a great mind from another century and receive guidance that changes the direction of their life. Be careful what enters you. Repeated influence becomes character. Seneca studied anger deeply because he considered it destructive to reason. Anger promises strength, but uncontrolled anger often hands your power to the person who provoked you. One insult can ruin your entire day. One betrayal can occupy your mind for years. One cruel person may leave, yet you continue carrying them inside you. Anger can make you say what cannot be taken back and turn a painful moment into a permanent consequence. This does not mean becoming passive. You can defend yourself without losing yourself, set a boundary without becoming cruel, and leave without destroying everything on the way out. When anger rises, delay. Do not immediately send the message. Do not speak simply because your emotions demand an audience. Give reason time to return. Ask whether your response will improve the situation or merely spread the injury. The person who can provoke you whenever they choose has power over you. Take that power back. Respond when you are capable of choosing, not merely reacting. Seneca understood that a person can possess many things and still live in poverty of mind. The more you believe you must have, the more ways life can threaten you. You need a certain income, a certain title, a certain image, a certain level of recognition, or a certain response from a certain person. Soon, your peace depends on 100 conditions you cannot guarantee, and desire quietly becomes a prison. Seneca was not arguing that ambition is always wrong. He was asking whether your desires serve you or command you. There is nothing wrong with building a better life, but be careful when better becomes never enough. You may reach the goal and still feel empty because the mind that demanded more yesterday will demand more tomorrow. Learn to distinguish preference from need. Say, I would like this, but I do not require it to respect myself. I will work for this, but I will not surrender my soul to obtain it. I can enjoy what I have without believing it can never be lost. A person who needs less cannot be easily controlled. Seneca believed in reviewing his own conduct. At the end of each day, he would examine what he had done, what he had handled well, and where he had failed, not to torture himself, but to correct himself. Many people repeat the same mistakes because they never stop long enough to study them. They react, regret, and then distract themselves until the next reaction. Growth requires honest reflection. Before you sleep, ask, where did I allow fear to lead me today? Where did I waste time? Where did anger speak for me? Where did I act with courage? What should I repeat? What must I change tomorrow? Do not turn this into self-hatred. You are not putting yourself on trial. You are becoming your own teacher. A mistake examined can become wisdom, while a mistake ignored becomes a pattern. You do not need to transform your entire life tonight. You need to see it clearly enough to improve one decision tomorrow. Seneca wrote often about death, not because he wanted people to become hopeless, but because remembering death destroys the illusion that time is guaranteed. You may believe you will eventually say what needs to be said, begin the work, forgive yourself, or become the person you keep promising to become. But eventually is not a date, it is often a hiding place. Seneca tried to live each day as though it were a complete life. That does not mean living recklessly. It means refusing to treat today as disposable. Ask yourself, if this day had to stand as a reflection of my life, what would it reveal? Would it show courage, attention, gratitude, and integrity, or would it show another day surrendered to fear and distraction? You cannot control how many days you receive, but you can decide whether this one is fully inhabited. Do not merely survive until sleep. Be present. Do something worthy of remembering. Give someone your full attention. Complete one meaningful act. End the day knowing that, even if it was imperfect, you were awake for it. Seneca did not promise a life without loss, nor did he promise that philosophy would make every wound painless. He offered something more realistic, a way to stand inside an uncertain world without surrendering your entire mind to it. You will still feel fear, but you do not have to obey every fearful thought. You will still face hardship, but hardship does not get to decide your character. You will still feel anger, but anger does not have to speak in your name. You will still lose time, but you can stop wasting the time that remains. So return to this moment, not the imagined disaster, the old mistake, or the future life you keep postponing. This moment, this breath, this decision. Protect your time. Question your fear. Train your strength. Choose your influences. Examine your life. Remember that the life you keep waiting for is already passing through your hands. You do not need to conquer the next 10 years tonight. You only need to refuse to abandon today. Stand up. Take the next step, then take another. Not because the road is easy or success is guaranteed, but because your life is here, and while it is here, it deserves to be lived.